Hello and welcome to another Helios Spotlight interview. And today I've got a special guest who actually probably needs no introduction to the EOS community. Trimbot has captured the mind share of many of us in EOS with very compelling tweets and a whole lot of engagement in Telegram and most definitely in Twitter, and really starting to shine a light on some of the exciting advancements coming to EOS and the EOS community and reasons why people should not be looking away from EOS these days. We've had a hard time with price, we know that, but there's a lot to be optimistic for. So Trim, thanks for taking the time for being with me today.
Chris, thanks so much for having me and thanks for the introduction.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, I've been following you since you kind of started, well, even before you really started this big push, and your Twitter account impressively has gone from less than 200 Twitter followers to over 2,000 now in like 3 weeks. And that's directly because of, you've got a really nice style of tweeting, presenting information. You've done some great Twitter threads, really highlighting what people aren't seeing in EOS. Do you want to speak to sort of maybe your philosophy? Was this like a plan of yours, or how did this sort of come about?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, I just wanted to make one thing clear. Like, I'm not an EOS maximalist. Like, I'm not the type of person who says EOS is going to be the #1 market cap coin. It's going to replace Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything like that. That's not me. I'm somebody who's really bullish on the potential of EOS and EOSIO technology. But in terms of being an EOS maximalist, even though my Twitter feed might give you that impression, that's not me. Really, what I see with EOS right now is an unbelievable opportunity for investors to finally get a positive return on their investment in the relatively shorter term, in the next 3 to 6 months, because of some major catalysts that are happening in EOS right now. After that, the long-term potential and upside of EOS, time will tell how the next few months go. But right now, I wanted to really highlight some of the incredibly bullish catalysts that are coming forward in EOS right now. Over the last couple of weeks or months, I've been following everything very closely. And about a month ago, I said, you know what? Now is the moment. Now is the opportunity. I think at the time, I saw EOS was trading at under $2. I thought it was a really, really good information asymmetry play. I loaded up my bags with more EOS and said, you know what? Let's start this movement. Because I think what happens is when you have information hiding in plain sight, a lot of people try to seek it out and find it. But with EOS, a lot of people have started ignoring it. People don't even want to do the research on EOS. Even if you tell them, hey, there's this really, really bullish piece of news that's about to come out that's going to substantially increase the price of EOS, people will still cover their ears, close their eyes, and say, nope, I don't want to listen. I don't want to hear it. So I decided, with not many people advocating for EOS at the moment, I could embrace that role on Twitter a little bit and try to sort of help accelerate this explosive growth that we're poised for in EOS. Just because I see what's happening, you see the writing on the wall, and if I step up, I can potentially help reinvigorate the community and accelerate the timeline by a month or two. I do think it's almost inevitable, but you can accelerate it a little bit. It's sort of like a really good business where they say, if you build it, they will come. Well, they don't really come if you build it. So you got to tell people where to find it.
You got to know about it, yeah.
So I'm trying to help highlight, hey, look, like, this is where you should be looking right now. A lot of people are probably skeptical. A lot of people probably don't believe it, but at least they're saying maybe something's going on in EOS. And next month, when we really have those bullish catalysts coming through in May, I think people are really going to start paying attention.
Okay, well, perfect. That's a great lead into the next question. So what are some of these bullish catalysts that have captured your attention that you're looking to share with the community?
Well, the two upcoming bullish catalysts that I see, they're a little bit related, but it's the EOS EVM and the hard fork from Block 1 coming up. Yeah. And I'll explain sort of the importance of those, why I'm so bullish on those things, even though at a glance, the idea of, okay, EVM or a hard fork, what's the big deal? Like, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking in the audience. But I can't emphasize enough just how imperative these catalysts are for the future success of EOS. The stigma right now around EOS is that it's pretty much a ghost chain. Mm-hmm. It's got a negative reputation associated with the ICO and the price action and with its relationship to Block 1. I think that there's a negative narrative that's about to flip. And I think that hard fork can help be the catalyst to tell people, hey, look, like, this isn't the same EOS that it was 4 years ago or 3 years ago, or whatever it may have been. And the other main sort of criticism against EOS is it's like a ghost chain. There's not many applications. There's nothing really to do with your EOS. You can't stake it for yield like you could with your AVAX or Phantom or other Ethereum alternative layer one solutions. With EOS EVM, that's all about to change. With EVM, you can really launch applications nearly instantly on EOS. And I anticipate a flood of new applications on EOS. Some of them might be short-term money grabs. Some of them might be long-term killer dApps. But in a few months from now, there's no way of criticizing EOS as being a ghost chain.
Well, and it sounds like it's the idea that EOS has the capacity to be a whole lot more than just a ghost chain, right? So if we look at Wax, EOSIO technology, they're pumping out 22 million transactions a day. EOS is 1.4 million or something transactions a day. So the ability to throw a lot more usage onto the EOS blockchain is obviously there because we know the tech can do it. So basically the contention that you're making is that once EVM launches, there's going to be a mass influx of applications that will then take advantage of this potential throughput and the fact that EOS has wide market adoption in terms of being listed on most exchanges, and it does still have good volume and market cap considering.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the most underestimated parts about the EOS EVM. Like, what's the big deal? Well, yes, it's going to be technologically advanced. It's going to be one of the top of the line, if not the top of the line EVM solutions out there. But more importantly, from a developer's or team's perspective, if I'm thinking about this through a business lens, I absolutely want to be one of the first projects to launch on the EOS EVM because there's a massive opportunity there. There's so much pent up demand. People can't wait to do something with their EOS, to spend their EOS, to stake their EOS. It's an enormous opportunity. And like you said, there's so many people holding EOS. It's got a big market cap. It's just like the biggest untapped market. And it's not like it's a poor untapped market. It's a very rich untapped market. It's a multi-billion-dollar market cap.
Right. Is there, I mean, I know the answer to this question, but I'll let you tell it. But is there some precedent in other chains that have launched EVM and have since seen their token price appreciate?
Absolutely. And I've compared EOS recently to two specific chains. One being an EOSIO chain, Telos. Telos launched their EVM solution last year. You saw the price roughly go from about 13 cents to over $1. That's roughly a 10x, 9x. I think you can't attribute 100% of that price action directly to the existence of Telos EVM, but I think the fact that their EVM is one of the top line EVMs out there, it created a lot of use cases for Telos, was a huge boost for Telos. And then secondly, with AVAX, the reason I compare it to AVAX is because if you look at where AVAX was about a year ago, their total value locked in the summer of 2021 was about 250 million. Right now in EOS, it's about 300 million. So you're almost comparing apples to apples. But with AVAX EVM, there was a huge influx of new applications, especially ones where you could stake your AVAX for yield. And suddenly you see a coin like AVAX shoot all the way into the top 10 in market cap. And you see their total value locked shoot up from 250 million to 2 billion in like a month.
Yeah. And
then a few months later, going to like 10 billion. It's just sort of like the writing's on the wall of what's capable in EOS. And now it's not just that any layer one chain can add an EVM and just go, okay, there we go, 10x or sudden boost in TVL, but there's a lot of contextual factors that make this an incredible opportunity in EOS.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's pretty compelling. I agree. And I've seen your tweets and they make a lot of sense. Like you've done good research, you're playing, and it's not too shilly. That's the other thing I like about your approach, which I think is part of the reason why a lot of people like your approach, is you're coming at this from very much like a business mindset and not just a shiny thing. Look over here, I promise you'll get rich type of thing. So I appreciate that. In terms of the B1 hard fork and this narrative that EOS is not B1, that is completely not well known to the broader ecosystem. This is a fallacy that still plagues EOS to this day. Do you think, is the hard fork going to be enough to break that? Like, what do we need to do as a community to make sure that this becomes well known, that this hard fork, it does in fact signify the true separation from B1 to EOS and really kind of plant that flag that EOS is its own sovereign chain?
Absolutely. And so it's not a flick of the switch type of thing where, May 19th, the hard fork happens and suddenly crypto Twitter goes from, all right, we hate EOS to we love EOS. It doesn't work like that. But things have been percolating for the last few months, if not year. You've seen what Block One's done for the EOS ecosystem, and it's relatively little. And so a lot of people could look at that and go, well, Block One's not really doing anything for EOS, but they run EOS. And that's, like you said, the fallacy a lot of people fall under, where they think Block One's job is to do everything on EOS and run EOS as if it was a centralized business.
Yeah.
But Block One's just a community member like anyone else. They're associated with EOS in another way because they're previously being paid to maintain the code base, essentially. Mm-hmm. That's no longer the case. The EOSIO community is now going to do that. And by doing that, it's an official sort of divorce from Block One. There's no more official relationship with them. So how could this sort of narrative permeate towards the rest of the crypto sphere or crypto world? Well, I do anticipate there will be some news around the time of that hard fork. There was news a few months ago when Eves formed the EOS Network Foundation. There was the famous negotiations with Block One and with Brock. And so I think that it's just sort of been a percolating narrative that's in the EOS community. It's starting to gain more prominence. People in the EOS community are understanding it. Now people outside of the EOS community are looking at this EOS returns and thinking, okay, something's going on here. Really, the goal is, can we get as many eyes on EOS right now as possible? And then by the time it's May 19th, hopefully people already are aware of this upcoming hard fork rather than just finding out about it that day. You've already started to see media start to focus on this. There's influencers outside of the EOS ecosystem who are reaching out to me asking for more information on this. I do think it will be a large narrative shift over the next few weeks or months.
Awesome. Yeah, you mentioned the EOS returns thing. That was a very well executed sort of meme profile picture. Those who haven't seen it, I'm sure you have, whether you realize it or not. And that's the mass influx of EOS Returns is the name of the profile pic essentially, and it's got EOS and Returns, and it's Superman ripping the chest open, or the shirt, and you've got the chest of Hedron, and everybody's got their mug now where Superman's head used to be. So you led the charge on that one, and that went really well. I mean, I don't even know how many dozens, if not 100, of different people in the EOS community who have adopted that profile pic. So good job on that.
Thank you. And I mean, that's another way of just sending that message, like we're reinvigorating the community. Like EOS is coming back. This isn't just let's consume some hopium for the next year or so. Like, this specific catalyst coming up that we want people to pay attention to and be aware of.
Yeah, well, it's narrative is everything. Like, narrative really does paint the tape as it goes in crypto these days, right? Hype and narrative and sentiment. And EOS has the technology. Like, this is the thing is it doesn't suffer from a technological deficiency that should cause its market cap to be low. It just doesn't have the sentiment and the overarching just view from the crypto sphere that EOS is a good chain to be involved with. So I think what you're doing is excellent. You're really trying to educate people in a really sincere way that isn't just super shilly. Do you have any other, Helios is an EOSIO kind of focused platform. We're not just EOS only. So is there any other EOSIO chains you want to shout out that you're also interested in?
Well, there's a lot of awesome projects on EOSIO, and I don't want to speak about one project to mean that means that I don't care about the other projects. But the one project that I've been focused on for the last little bit is Chintai Network, or their token is called Checks. I'm really excited about this project. It's a private chain. It's not a public network like EOS or Telos or anything along those lines. It's sort of its own innovative business using EOSIO technology, and it's a project that I'm incredibly bullish on for both the short and the long term.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Checks is excellent. Tokenizing real world goods, essentially, starting with tokenized real estate. The Energios project that I'm involved in is looking to tokenize physical solar facilities using their platform to do that. So I'm completely with you. That is going to be potentially a game changer in the industry that has just yet to really have its breakout moment. So glad to see you're following that as well. And then, okay, so before we close up, I just want to make sure people know that you do have a couple things on the go in terms of where they can support you. You've got a Pomelo pitch. And so we'll make sure we leave that in the description below, and maybe just talk about briefly what you're looking to achieve with that pitch.
Yeah, sure. So with my Pomelo pitch, I just want to make clear that anyone who contributes or donates to the cause, that's not money in my pocket. My plan is to use the money that is provided by the community through the fundraising mechanism of Pomelo to market EOS essentially and to advertise specific things in a deliberate way. And so let me explain what I mean by that. With EOS EVM coming, you can hype the fact that EOS EVM is coming with a promoted tweet, let's say, which is great for bringing in new momentum or investors, let's say. But what we really need at the start are developers. And so what can I do to help us acquire new developers through marketing efforts? And realistically, with money, it's easier to market. I've shown so far I don't need a lot of money to market EOS in an effective way, but with money, I could do it in a more effective way. The other sort of use case for some of those funds might be fund giveaways. When EOS EVM launches, one way to onboard 100 new users is to say the first 100 people who sign up and create a new EOS account will get one free EOS, let's say.
Sure.
Those sort of things have ripple effects where if if let's say I end up with $100, hopefully I can create $500 of value for the EOS ecosystem.
Got it. Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, so check that out. That'll be in the description below. And basically you need an EOS account and you donate as little as 1 EOS. So it's not a hardship. And the more individual users that donate to Trim, the more he'll get from the quadratic matching that Pomelo has. So Trim, people can follow you at Twitter. You're at Trim_bot, also in the description below. And I highly encourage anybody who's curious, if you're watching this and you're not quite sold on it yet, follow Trim, see what he's got to say. And just look through his Twitter feed. There's a lot of great stories, some threads in there, a lot of education, essentially, which is really what people need in order to understand why EOS is something that shouldn't be looked away from anymore. And there's definitely stuff coming that is worthwhile to keep our eyes out for.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Okay, take care.
Bye.